Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to another episode on my Challenge Your Norm podcast, where we challenge your norm in order to grow. Today is my birthday, and I am currently sitting in the bathroom because I had a sleepover with two friends yesterday, and so I'm trying to be quiet and not wake them up. We went to bed really late. To me, really late is midnight. And I still woke up at 5 a.m. So I just thought I wanted to share this thought that was on my mind because I was sitting here and journaling and just feeling enormous amounts of gratitude for the life that I get to live. I always like to reflect on life when it's my birthday, and really any other day of my life I like to reflect, but I was just like filled with this gratitude towards the things that I get to do and the life that I get to live. And I was thinking about why or how I've created this life. Like, what has been the driving factor every single time I have achieved something new that has brought my life to the next level. I was thinking about how it's possible that I get to live this life that I once used to just absolutely be in heaven dreaming about living. And when I was going through these different things that I get to do every day, this one main factor kept coming up as to why it is that I get to do this today. And I thought I'd share it with you because many times throughout life and still today, I don't do this one thing when it comes to different areas of my life. And that is usually what is then holding me back from getting to that next level within this new area that I want to succeed at, or at least like get to the next level of. And that is to take complete ownership and responsibility and stop blaming or holding anger towards whatever thing it is that we feel is holding us back from getting to that next level. And I think it's natural for us humans to come up with, or at least for our brains, our egotistic brains, to come up with excuses as to why it is that we are not where we want to be. And it's so easy, or at least it comes natural for us to blame our current circumstances, the way that we grew up, blame the people that are around us, blame our body for not being genetically in the specific way that we want, blaming maybe a boss at work that isn't treating us right, or the fact that we have so many responsibilities so we don't have enough time, or maybe it's finances holding us back from taking that education, the course, the vacations, whatever it is that we want to incorporate into our life. And it's so easy, right? It's so easy to find all of these things that are holding us back. But what I know to be true, and what I know you know to be true deep down, is also that people who have been in our circumstances or way worse have made this thing happen. And so we can keep blaming these things that are holding us back, or we can take full ownership and responsibility and actually do something about it. And there's something that I want to just quickly touch on before I get into specific areas of my life where I've been like not taking responsibility in the past, and then made a shift that then has shifted my life into a certain direction. And that is that humans only act in a way that in one way, shape, or form is beneficial for them within that moment. So whenever I make an excuse and don't take responsibility and blame someone else or something else, it in some way, shape, or form is benefiting me. And I want to start off giving you an example with a stepdad that I had in the past. He's no longer my stepdad, who I was blaming for changing the dynamics in my family, who I was blaming for taking up all of the space in my family, who I was blaming for never ever feeling like I got my time to share when it came to like family gatherings or times around the dinner table. So he was the kind of person who, loved being the center of attention, who loved just taking up a lot of space and people laughing at him and, being the person that people would look at and listen to. And when I was a teenager living with this man and the rest of my family, I would have such intense anger towards him in the beginning because I would blame him for, not being considerate of other people, not allowing me to speak my mind, not allowing me to share because he would take up so much space. So I would just sit there and be quiet and hold anger towards him for, taking up all of the space. And what I then realized after a therapy session was really, I could just do what he's doing. Whenever I felt like I had something to share, I could just speak up. I could just take that center of attention. If I had the need to share something that had been on my mind, then I should just take up that space. And I was acting angry and keeping myself in the background because to me, it was very, very uncomfortable taking up space like that. It still can be at times. But I naturally am someone or was someone who, if I were to speak, it would be because someone asked me a question or showed interest in some way. And so because there wasn't space for anyone to show interest in me because he would take up a lot of space, I would just stay quiet in the background. And so I allowed myself to just stay quiet. And that was a comfort zone in some way, shape, or form. Maybe, yes, I was angry at him, but also I was staying safe. I was staying comfortable because I didn't even have to, be in the center of attention, which was a little bit of a challenge for me. But it was okay when people showed interest, but because they didn't, I was kind of staying safe. So back to this, I'm just going to mention this sentence again because maybe you can relate to this in some way in your life. Humans can only act in a way that in one way, shape, or form is beneficial for them. And so me just staying inside my head angry at this guy for taking up so much space, I got to stay safe in my comfort zone. I didn't have to share. But what I realized in that therapy session was that if I just took the space, that would feel, first of all, uncomfortable for me. But I would then realize that, hey, if I just speak up my mind, then suddenly I do get my time of day where I can share whatever I have on my mind. So I had to get out of my comfort zone, but I could stop being angry at my stepdad for taking up all of the space and talking too much. Because if I just took the space, then I would have the space. And it was so easy for me to blame him, but having to change the dynamic, having to get out of my comfort zone and just, sometimes take this center of attention space that I actually really deep down needed, I could no longer blame him because then it was my responsibility to do that. And I just think it's powerful. And I can share many, many different areas of my life where I've had to take this responsibility and it's really changed the inside of me. Another thing is that when you are annoyed at someone, when I am annoyed at someone, it's really because we have not allowed ourselves to love that part within ourselves. So I had learned that I taught myself really that in order to be loved, the good girl, in order to be a good person and human, you should not take up too much space. You should stay quiet till someone asks you permission to speak. Like, it's not that my parents taught me that. This is just like a taught behavior that I had made up in my mind. And once I realized, I can just take up this space in this family dynamic, I would no longer be annoyed at him doing it either, because I loved to like that part of myself, slowly love that part of myself. I could then also start liking that, loving that in other humans. And it wasn't just that I got annoyed when my stepdad would do this. It was really within all areas of my life when people would take up too much space and I would just not get any time of day. I would get annoyed, and we want to get rid of being annoyed at anyone, right? We want to really learn to love all sides within ourselves so that we can then learn to love all sides within other humans. This is a little bit of a different topic, and it's something that I want to get into in a different episode, but I just wanted to quickly touch on it. Another example is that when back in the day when I came to LA, I got a few modeling jobs here and there. Like I had this inner desire that I wanted to start modeling, and I got a few jobs here and there, but it didn't take off. And I knew that, okay, I don't really look like a model. That was the mindset I had. And I had that mindset for years. It wasn't until someone really close to me said that I was kind of like the girl next door. That was kind of the look I had. And that made me angry, and it made me like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And from that day on, I made a plan. If I want to model for real, like if I want to make this a thing, what do I need to do? And so I stopped blaming the fact that my body wasn't really modelly looking, and I took charge. I studied. When I tell you I studied models' diets. I studied fitness, specifically mostly fitness models, nutrition, and training programs. And that's when I became a personal trainer. And I really took responsibility for changing my body so that I could start modeling. It was also because I wanted to get in great shape, but like, I really wanted to see where this could lead to. So I stopped blaming my body for not being modelly looking, and I gave it a shot. I gave it a true shot. And oh my gosh, I was so committed. I tried changing my body for many years, and it had never worked out. Like, I'd always kind of given up. I hadn't taken full ownership and responsibility for doing it. I'd kind of always like half-assed it. I had to commit 100% because changing your body is not easy, and it takes like real true commitment. And so I did that, and I did end up like making that together with dancing, my full-time gig. And I got signed to my dream modeling agency, Wilhelmina Models. And for me, stopping blaming my body and taking full responsibility within this area of my life, I actually did it. I ended up doing the thing that I previously had thought I wasn't able to do because I took full responsibility. Another thing I just quickly want to share is something that I've shared on the podcast previously, and that is when I did change my body, I did start modeling and dancing. Then COVID hit, and I had just booked this big job that would have me traveling a lot. And when I booked that, they then asked me if I could stay in Atlanta, but I had just gotten together with my ex, and it was COVID, and I was scared, like what's going to happen with the world? Is it going to shut down, and then I won't be able to come back to LA? Like, what's going to happen? So that ended up falling through, and I was there like not knowing what am I going to do with my life, because I'm someone who wants to do big things in my life, and no dance or modeling gigs. And I could either like, okay, well, then I'm not going to be able to work because my income is dance and modeling. Or I could take full ownership and responsibility for my life and my work, my finances. And that's when I started to create my first ebook. And I really made an effort to build my platform so that I could make a difference. And then that way, that could also slowly become my income. And, we can blame COVID for messing up our life, or we could take charge of, okay, I'm now in this situation. What am I going to do with it? And it's just so powerful what we can do with our life when we take full ownership and responsibility. And I'm also saying this when it comes to relationships, because I think a lot of us will blame either our other half or our parents or the people around us. We will blame them for being the reason why we can't do certain things. Maybe we're with someone who just doesn't support us, and because we feel the need that we need them to understand the dreams that we have in our hearts, we need them to understand and support that for us to actually take the action. We will often not do it, because if they don't believe in us, then we can't do it. But we can't force someone to see this vision that we have in our hearts, in our minds, because it's our dream. And I mean, with anything that I've done in my life, I feel like the people closest to me have never really understood it in the way that I have until it actually happened. Like, my family never understood YouTube, and that's like okay, because obviously they don't know how that works. Like, just social media in general, like they're not from that. If you're not like, if you haven't studied social media, you don't know the power of where that can take your career. And so nobody really in my family would understood it. They would be nice to me, but I could also feel their doubt before it happened and before I was able to turn the things that I did into a business making money. And, you know, as I've shared on this podcast, it took me years till I made an income. Like, I would do this for free, and I could feel the skepticism till that happened. Like, I could feel the questioning of them not understanding. You can just feel it, right? Like, they don't necessarily have to say anything. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But you can feel when someone doesn't fully get it. And so it's okay that the people around you are not fully understanding in what it is that you dream of. But if you have the vision, I so truly believe that that vision can become a reality. But you have to freaking commit and take responsibility and ownership, because there is going to be so many obstacles on the way, right? Like, if we want anything that's outside of the norm, it is going to be challenging, because otherwise everyone would be doing it. So we just have to know that that's a part of it, and taking ownership of the fact that when bad things happen, we got to say, all right, what am I going to do from here now that this obstacle got in the way? Because there's going to be a ton of obstacles in the way. And that's something we have to be okay with. And I think it helps me when I hear about other people who have succeeded within some area of their life, hearing about how challenging it's been, because then whenever I have a goal and then an obstacle or a challenge comes my way, then I feel like, okay, then I'm on the right track. It's okay that this feels challenging. It's okay that this feels hard. And ask yourself, like, if these people that are around me don't support me, do they truly want my best of interest, or do they not? And if you feel like you're constantly held back from the people who are around you, maybe you can ask yourself if it's a relationship that is worth fighting for and continually being in a relationship with. Like, those are, we always have a choice to make changes. Maybe you feel like you're not living in the right city, and you feel like, oh, I couldn't move to this other city because of this and that. But just reminding yourself that you always have a choice. And these are things that I'm telling myself constantly whenever I come up with these excuses as to why I can't make certain things happen, because I'm not that type of person, because, I can come up with so many excuses as to why I, Pernilla, am not able to do this thing. Let's say you have a business idea and you are saying to yourself that you're not able to do this because you don't have the knowledge and you don't have the finances to go back to college. Okay, well, ask yourself, is there another course you could go to? Is there a mentor who has done this that you could reach out to? Are there YouTube videos on this subject? Like, do your research. There's so much free knowledge out there. Everything that I'm doing today, I've been self-taught. I never went to college, but I have been studying full time because I just constantly am seeking knowledge. And there are just so many ways to do things. But I do this in many areas of my life, like come up with excuses, and it takes time for me to realize that it is an excuse and that I am able to do it. And I think we all forget that we only have one life, and that if we want to make this life extraordinary, we have to do the challenging thing. We have to challenge our norm. And this is such a harsh way to think, but it helps me when I think about it. And that is that one day I'm going to die, and I just want to live to the fullest. And I don't want to hold myself back. And I'm thinking that if you're listening to this podcast, you want to challenge your norm too. And it may take you a month of journaling till you actually finally can take ownership on this thing. And when you sit down and you journal on this thing that you want and how you could take ownership and take action towards this thing, ask yourself also, how am I benefited from this? Like I mentioned in the beginning, humans will only stay stuck or will only take actions that in some way, shape, or form are beneficial to them. Like, how is it you doing this thing right now beneficial? When I am dancing and I am not fully committed in a dance class to like go full out or like show myself, go in the front, it's because I have this fear of like, oh, I might mess up because I don't know this choreo fully yet, or just because I've messed up so many times whenever my fear kicks in a dance class. It's like that's me making up this excuse and not going full out is kind of keeping me safe, because when I have this excuse in my mind, I can stay in the background and I can stay safe and I won't be in that discomfort of maybe messing up in front of the entire class or in front of the camera, whatever. And only when I became aware of this, that I am almost like continuing this fear I have for messing up, because it also in some way is keeping me safe, I could then realize that, okay, well, if I want to become the best dancer I can, if I want to feel unstoppable or outstanding or phenomenal as a dancer, I have to stop doing that. And I have to take ownership of, yes, I might mess up and that's okay. And it is benefiting me to stay in the back, because then I won't have to deal with that. But I don't really deep down want that. And just becoming aware of like how you are keeping yourself stuck, why it's benefiting you, and then why you no longer want to do that because it is keeping you stuck. And then create an action plan and freaking go crush it. I hope that throughout this conversation you had a few sparks of inspiration as to where in your life you're not fully taking ownership and responsibility, and maybe how you're blaming someone else for you not achieving your goals, and that you maybe are willing to sit down and journal on this a little bit and then go out there and crush it. Get out of your comfort zone. You only have one life. And you freaking deserve to have the best possible life ever. I am going to sneak to the gym before the girls wake up. And I really enjoyed chatting with you. I hope you have a beautiful day. If you wouldn't mind leaving a review, this is the first time I'm asking you to do that, but I realized that that's something podcast hosts do. So I'm thinking there may be a reason for it. Maybe it's going to help reach more people. And I hope if it's helpful to you that you would be willing to do that, or maybe share it with a friend who you think could benefit from it, or on your social media channels, whatever you feel is right for you. I so appreciate you listening. I really, really do. It just warms my heart so much that you're listening. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And remember that in order to grow, you have to challenge your norm.